You're listening to the Major Pod Network, the only place where your favorite toy store, card shop, arcade, theme park, and arena are all on the same block. Scratch that major itch.
This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast presented by the Major Pod Network. I am Mr. Anything is Feasible, George Feis.
And I'm the man they call Johnny Clash, and today we are playing Wrestle Kingdom II, Pro Wrestling Sekai Teisen. How's this game going to hold up? Is it going to get a play it forever?
Woo!
Or a future endeavor?
You're fired!
Plus, we discuss game demos and the new exclusive AEW Console Sneak Peek.
Ooh, baby. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review for this podcast on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Follow us on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod, and check out all of the exclusive content we are creating on our Patreon, patreon.com/GameMarksPod. Johnny Clash, I'm expecting a very excited Johnny Clash this week because of the game that we're playing and what it's based off of, and I get to more or less right or wrong this week, hopefully.
We'll see. I'm a little under the weather. Sorry, I'm a little nasally. I'm going to try not to jiggle this cough drop around in my mouth like you that one time, but
what?
We'll see.
Never did that. There's definitely no audio proof of that.
I'm just like keeping it under the gum, so it's fine. All right, I'm very excited for this episode, but let's start right here. This is the last week, George. You're not going to be there, but this weekend, Create a Pro Wrestling. Guess what? Sold out. There's a few walk-ups coming. But Sunday, FWF Live 3, you have to be there. And if you are not in the area, you don't want to take that trip down to New York, Fight TV, go order it. Go cheer me on as I team with Nunzio because we are full-blooded Italians. Don't tell them about the Portuguese part of me.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Johnny Clash carrying the Game Marks podcast flag, riding solo for the podcast at FWF Live 3. I will definitely be tuning in. Even on vacation, I still will have it pulled up on my phone. Don't you worry. I'll be there supporting you.
You better be there with the virtual golden N64 controller to bash someone over the head with.
It's right there, baby. If you're watching on the video version, it's right there.
All right, last week, WWF Warzone for the Game Boy. Oh, man. Baby. It's just one that like sticks in your brain because of how bad it is. And how I said it was gone, I was going to bury it forever, but like it just keeps coming back in my brain.
As soon as we finished recording last week, I was just like, I can't believe I actually just thought this to myself. I actually prefer regular Warzone to something.
Yeah. And
like I was just like, there's never going to be a point where I'm like, no, I want to play N64 WWF Warzone over something else. And I was like, no, I'd rather play N64 Warzone over Game Boy Warzone.
So that's what's different. I was a PlayStation Warzone, which are similar but a little different.
So better controls on the PlayStation.
Maybe.
That's a regret I have.
But to me, like, I didn't know growing up it was even on the N64 because I was such a PlayStation at the time that, like, to hear someone be like, oh, playing it for the N64, I'm like, that's weird, even though it's not. Most people probably had it for that.
I think the trade-off was the quality of the audio and the textures were better on the PlayStation, but the load times were better on the N64.
Always, yeah. That's how it was. But we got, speaking of N64, speaking of the older games, we got a sneak peek inside AEW's new console game coming out hopefully in September called AEW Fight Forever. They are working with Ukes now. There's some rumors going on of a little tiff between Kenny Omega and the team at AEW with Ukes, but we don't know for sure if this game's going to be a one-off, if this is actually true, what's going to happen. Honestly, if the game is a success, I don't see why both parties can't work through it and make it a good series and just keep it going. Yeah. But then again, a game like this, what we saw, how it is kind of, someone compared it to like Fortnite graphics, how it's over the top, looks cool, but it's not really like in scale to a human, I guess we could say. Looks a little action figure-y, but I like it. It's just like the old games, No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000 that we used to play. So it could be a one-off if that's the case, but given the success of 2K22, I feel like it needs to be different. It needs to stand out. It needs to be something that's not a direct simulator. But they revealed, friend of the show, friend of mine, Chris Statlander, her character model, her finisher, and the native beast, Nyla Rose. They showed all of her stuff, her finisher. They showed for the first time, because this was not in the last gameplay with Darby and Jungle Boy, Aubrey Edwards, new crowd noises, which we heard that they recorded a few weeks ago at Dynamite. So there's new crowd noises, a new crowd. They made them completely 3D. They randomized them a little more, so you're not getting that paper crowd. And the host of the show, Evil Uno, also revealed, he said, all right, guys, shut up already, you in the chat. This game is going to be available on PC. So everyone, that a nice little deep sigh, like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think, going back to the first point that you made, I have to think that on some level, they're using this to kind of test the waters for an AEW game. Like, yes, everyone is going to be like, yes, make an AEW game. We'll buy it, we'll play it, and blah, 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 blah. But that only goes so far. It's, when push comes to shove, the game gets released. How many people that said that they want it and are clamoring for an AEW game are actually going to buy it? And I think that might be what this is. Like, we will give you that super hyper realistic game, but show us that you're willing to support the first game first before we before we put everything we got into this one game. So,
well, I hear they're putting everything they got into this one. The budget's pretty high, and it needs to pretty much succeed to not be in the red. So we'll see if it's a TNA Impact, or we'll see if it's something good. So
I mean, I think AEW's got enough of a following and enough of an audience in the video game world that there are so many people that are waiting for this game. Now, here's my question, and I don't know why this just popped into my head. So obviously, there are video game content creators within the WWE who play games that are other than the WWE games. You've got shows like Up, Up, Down, Down that play things like Elden Ring, and yes, they have that whole big 2K22 showcase that Xavier Woods has been doing, where he's going through all the features and like all the continued updates and stuff. Do you think that at any point Xavier Woods will be able to play this game in a video setting and record it? And I would have to imagine
not on WWE TV, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, man, I would love to hear his opinions on that game, because he's played so much.
He could give them like on Twitter, I'm sure, but not play it. My thing is, we're getting so many AEW wrestlers in 2K22. Are people going to create WWE wrestlers in the AEW game?
I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter where people are saying that they hope that there are the assets for creator wrestlers for people who may not be in the game, but like you can still kind of piecemeal them in a creator wrestler sense, which I think is cool. Like, you put the finishers and stuff in games, and you're like, part of the fun of having a game is having the creator wrestler community put together stuff. So
here's my concern. I feel like the creator wrestler is not going to be extensive. I feel like it's going to be something like No Mercy or say SmackDown, where it's kind of plop some pieces in there, and it has its limitations though. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be as extensive as 2K22. I could be wrong. I also think the campaign mode or story mode, whatever they're putting in there, is going to be a little lacking. I just have this feeling that it's not going to be like a completely big drawn out thing, but there's always DLC. There's always, you could always add on. I know they're only putting, I think, 50 wrestlers in the game, and then DLC is going to come out maybe after. I know my friends, the Acclaimed, aren't on that list. I know Bear Country's not on that list. I haven't seen Smart Mark Sterling on that list, so I'm hoping they come eventually.
But Jade's in the game, right?
But Jade's in the game, who is, you heard it here, folks, the hottest woman on planet Earth. I will say it till the cows come home. But AEW Fight Forever, hopefully September, and we can enjoy it. We will definitely be playing it here on this podcast.
What? No.
Speaking of,
They're not going to pre-order it and like immediately play it day of release. No.
yeah, speaking of, check out our YouTube channel because I have been running through the Rey Mysterio Showcase mode from 2K22. I am having so much fun playing it, but this is the thing. For it to be able to publish to YouTube, you have to remove all the WCW footage from it or WWE footage from it, or it gets blocked. And not even
just like claimed or like you can't monetize
No.
it. Like they fully will take it down.
Yeah, you can't publish it. It's dead. I learned the hard way after the first one. I gave up. I did it again. So I have to skip them, and it makes it a little lackluster. And I thought maybe there's a workaround, but I've been watching other streamers do it on YouTube, and it's the same thing. They just kind of hard cut away. It's kind of stupid. I think that's something they need to work on fixing in the future. But
I don't know. But once you finish the Ray showcase, I'll be continuing the content, and I'll be starting the My Rise mode or whatever it's called.
And you know what? If you pick male or female, I'll pick the other one, and we'll put up what we can.
Okay, so I figured we would stagger it so that we're not overloading with the amount of stuff. So, you do the Ray showcase, and then when you're finished with that, I'll start the male or female storyline, and then when I'm finished with that, you can do the opposite.
All right.
And
Well,
stagger
I'm
it.
going to
And
want to
then
play
once
it, so maybe I'll just backload.
Yeah, I'm just saying you play it and just record it, and then we'll just do the upload schedule different. That way, it's
Yeah.
not like, hey, here's 6 videos a day, and then once we do that, it's tag team style universe mode where John and I are going to book a
boy.
universe together, which is, boy, if you watch or pay attention to what we do in GMP 64, you know that it is going to be a cluster.
Yep. But all right, that's our little follow-up from last week and some news on AEW's game. But George, we are here for one game in particular. It is a sequel to a game that we liked from not even, I think, year 3 still. I think it was somewhat recently.
Yeah. I think it was like the beginning of, or middle of last year.
I think so, but we are ready to take our deep dive into Wrestle Kingdom 2.
Hey, George. You see this light here that says Game Over that I point to at the end of every single episode, like Ronda Rousey pointing to that WrestleMania sign?
I do.
Do you know where I got it?
Why don't you tell me?
I got it from Zavvi. That's us.zavvi.com, Zavvi, and they literally have everything. I have spent hours on this website looking up Mandalorian, Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, like everything you could imagine. There's Legos, Power Rangers. You could pre-order the new Marvel Legends. It's an insane website that has literally everything pop culture. There's even Batman shoes on here.
I mean, I know for me, a little like adult Zen garden project that I like to do is like the smaller Lego sets, and Zavvi has a lot of those Lego sets on there and getting kind of itchy. So if you like all things pop culture, like John said, Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, Nintendo, they're even getting into the wrestling game now.
Oh, yeah.
Zavvi is the place for you.
That's right. Use code GameMarks, simply just GameMarks, at checkout, and you can get 10% off.
I'm going to redo my wardrobe. All right, Wrestle Kingdom II, Pro Wrestling World War, also known as Pro Wrestling Sakai Taizen, released May 10th, 2007, published by Yuke's, developed by Yuke's for the PlayStation 2, and some stiff competition in this year for games. You've got Wrestle Kingdom 2, and you've got WWE SmackDown versus Raw 2008. So it's
That's
really
it.
the game that we're playing today, and a game that is pretty much revered as one of the best games in the SmackDown vs. Raw series. So, you know, I wasn't joking when I said it had stiff competition.
No, definitely not. Weird that there's no mobile game. There's no, I don't know. It's just a weird time, and it's the only company around. So this is the competition, and I like seeing that the whole Day of Reckoning engine and all that carries over, because as far as I knew back then when Day of Reckoning 2 ended, that was the end, and now we're discovering these games later on, and I love it.
And it's the Day of Reckoning engine on a PlayStation, which is like the weirdest but also best crossover because mapping, I mean, I'm sure on an actual GameCube controller, the commands are fine, but when you're trying to map it to an Xbox or a PlayStation controller, controls could be kind of wonky. But now that this is an actual like full port of Day of Reckoning to a PlayStation controller, kind of bridges the gap and makes it a little bit more, easier, a little more fair to understand, I guess is the word.
Well, it's kind of like back in the day how WCW versus the World was on PlayStation, but Revenge and all those World Tour was on the N64. It's similar. But we did play Wrestle Kingdom. I just looked it up. November 15th of 2021, so that's not that long ago. No, and we both gave it a play it forever.
Well, I would imagine it's probably for the reason that we were talking about right now. But like you said, it is the sequel to the original Wrestle Kingdom. And this roster, let me tell you something. We're going to do a full breakdown of the roster, but it is stacked. It's got everyone that you could possibly think of, and then even a couple more. And it has licensed wrestlers from New Japan, from All Japan, a bunch of freelance workers and legends. But they did not include any wrestlers from Pro Wrestling Noah this time.
I gotta say, character select screen in this one and the prequel, a little confusing how everything's kind of sorted. You have to go left and right and then up and down and then press other things to get through. It's a little not straightforward.
I think the main menu part is the worst.
It's cool. It looks
does not read like a main menu. It's very confusing.
It's just a lot of stuff everywhere. I could almost say it's like the Legend of Wrestling series, but even more. How it's just kind of all over the place. Looks like a magazine or like a newspaper ad, and stuff's just everywhere. I like it, but not like I like it for a load screen.
Oh, that is a very good way of putting it. It is a very good loading screen
with just text.
It's just a lot. And I'm sure if John and I, which I don't know how at this point we're not, were a little bit more well-versed in reading Japanese, it would probably be a lot easier to follow. But, 3 years, you should probably understand a little bit more of Japanese. But, we don't yet. So that's next year's goal for the podcast. Learn to read and write in Japanese. But aside from that, it doesn't look bad. Like you said, the menu screen is kind of how they handle Fire Pro with the different factions or promotions that the wrestlers are in. It's a left and right and then an up and down. But I
just wish it was more visual.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they swap the logos on the background. They do something to make sure that you know that the left and rights are actually like changing something.
Yeah.
But the artwork for it looks good, like in terms of like the wrestler select screen and stuff.
We'll get to the art style and everything. We'll get there. But this game, it has 3 game modes, but unlike the last one, there's no drama mode, there's no story, there's no season. All you have is exhibition, tournament, and then you have a campaign. But a campaign doesn't really have the story aspects. It's kind of just play and unlock. You kind of pick a stable, you go against the computer. There's different events that you put together, and then you kind of put, I guess you wager power-ups. I don't want to say money. It's the in-game currency you would get at the end. You could wager that, how much you would get based on the event, based on the match, and you just pick the different locations, and that's it. You just progress as it keeps going. But your game types, you have in exhibition, you have singles, tag, 3-way, handicap, 4-way, 5-on-5, and a gauntlet. And now the rules you could use: normal, hardcore, shoot fighting, and MMA rules. Kind of interesting that you would never see that in a WWE game in the States. I don't think we are going to see that in the AEW game. I could be wrong, but
you think we're going to get a death match in the AEW game?
Oh, with like a little sprinkler at the end?
I was just going to say, and you think that they'll like maybe poke a little fun where like one, oh man, how great would it be if there was like a random number, like an RNG, where you do a death match and like 1 out of every 100 matches gets the poof finish.
That would be pretty funny. I was wondering that if we're going to get like the cage, because their cage is pretty much a Hell in a Cell without a top. And I like that a lot. But I don't know. We asked this question on Question of the Week like a year ago. Stadium Stampede. What can we get? Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
The,
There are a lot of options here. I'm excited to see what they'll do
match
for stuff like that. Oh yeah, a lights out match. That'd be cool. They just cut the. It's just Justin Roberts standing in the ring, announces it. The lights go off. The lights come back on. It's just you're back in the.
That's the load screen.
The bell rings. And it goes. Yeah, it's just a little loading screen.
Okay, so there's also a tournament in this game where you could compete for the IWGP Heavyweight title in the G1 Climax, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship at the Best of the Super Juniors, the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship at Champion Carnival, and the World Junior Heavyweight Championship at the Super J Cup. Kind of cool. That's all included in here, and we're coming up on the Best of the Super Juniors in real life, so that's pretty cool. Good time to play this game.
But, there are some extras in the game as well. So there are wrestler bios, there's championship history, and, in some cases there are digital autographs within the game. There's also some interviews with some of the wrestlers like Jushin Thunder Liger and Gato. But listen, it's the time now where we hop on over and we do the roster, and I'm going to be real nice to you this week, John. I know you're having some allergies, and why don't you just sit there and work on that cough drop, and I'll take us through the roster.
All right, I'm going to open another one for this.
All right. Your roster for Wrestle Kingdom 2. We like to break it down by the promotion. So you have New Japan Pro Wrestling. You have Masahiro Chono, Shinsuke Nakamura, Hiroyoshi Tanahashi, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, Yuji Nagata, Madubu Nakanishi, Jushin Thunder Liger, Tiger Mask, Koji Kanemoto, Minoru Tanaka, Jado, Gato, Giant Bernard, Wataru Noyu, Riki Choshu, how do you say that? Ryusuke Taguchi?
Yeah, perfect.
Sure. Now Fumi Yamamoto. And then we're into All Japan Pro Wrestling. You've got Kaiji Muto, Great Muta, Kaz Hayashi, Satoshi Kojima, Tai Aoki, Taka Michinoku. God, that's a name I haven't said in a wrestling game in a long time. Nosawa, wrong guy.
Not this
Taru,
guy. Wrong guy.
Knew you were going to say that. Taru, Shuji Kondo, Brother Yashi, Masanobu Fuchi, and Suwama.
You know what? I'll take the legends here. How about that? Is that good? Okay. Sure. Antonio Inoki, Abdul the Butcher, Shinya Hashimoto, Tiger Mask Original, Terry Funk, Dory Funk Jr., Jumbo Saruta, Stan Hansen, Tiger Jeet Singh, The Sheik, Masakutsu Funaki. Yeah, I said that right. Atsushi Onita, Akira Maeda, The Destroyer, Dick Murdoch, Dr. Death, Steve Williams, Terry Gordy, and Big Van Vader. You're up.
All right, your throat's hurting you again, so I'll take back over. All right, your freelance wrestlers. You've got Kensuke Sasaki, Yoshihiro Takayama, Toshiaki Kawada, Tajiri, Hayabusa, Tatsumi Fujinami, Akibono, Katsuhiko Nakajima, Osamu Nishimura, Kazunari Murakami, Milano Collection AT. Sure. Yoshiaki Fujiwara, Genichiro Tenryu. And then your hidden wrestlers. You've got young Antonio Inoki, young Kaiji Muto, young The Great Muta. You've got a hidden version of The Great Muta. You have young Masahiro Chono. You've got the 20th anniversary version of Masahiro Chono. You have young Jushin Thunder Liger. You have young Shinsuke Nakamura. You have the masked Devilock. And you have Akira Hokuto.
Great.
That
good job.
Is your roster for Wrestle Kingdom 2. Thanks for helping me out with the legends.
No problem.
I needed that break. I appreciate it.
Hayabusa is someone who has such a cool look. Like, I really enjoy just watching old stuff of his. And then I realized the other day, like, he died in, like, 2016.
Yeah.
Every figure I see of his, I just want to
get
it, but, like, I have no reason.
But yeah, so I mean, can we talk about what may be? What? What?
I'm sorry. I just clicked a WWE.com article about Hayabusa passing away, and it's a big picture of him, but then a backlash thing popped up over it, and Edge's face just popped up right over his face perfectly, and that was just too hilarious to not mention. Cause
Did you close it? Can you screenshot it?
I did close it. It's probably not going to come up again, but that was hilarious. But you know what? I'll try incognito, because that just really caught me off guard.
I'll say screenshot it and then post it in the Patreon or in the Discord.
You know, I'm going to put it in the show notes for everyone to see that.
Holy shit.
All right, but the artwork of this game, here you go, George.
Yeah, I was going to say, holy shit. That is just the stuff of nightmares. But all right, let's talk about what is arguably, in my opinion, one of the cooler aspects of this game. And that's saying a lot because this front cover is dope. I am a huge fan of this. I think this looks awesome. Big named wrestlers just plastered all over the front cover. I mean, it is so cool. This I will go as far as to say that this is borderline poster worthy. I think this is poster worthy.
I like it. I just always think that just showing wrestlers as cartoons is kind of like, it doesn't leave anything to really show you what the game is like. But you have the back cover where you have actually now the 3D animated versions of these wrestlers, which is pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure it's the same wrestlers from the front. So I like that they did that. And then your game screenshots are in there. So there you go. Just flip it over.
Now, are we diving on into the actual art and gameplay and style of the game itself here?
I think so. I'm noticing on the back cover there's some fireballs and stuff. We did see some mist, but we didn't encounter any fire. I would love to go back and try to get some fire going.
I would imagine you probably have to play as someone specific to get the fireball.
I would think so, yeah.
So when you're in the game, I mean, immediately you are just immersed in the game. The camera is close. You immediately just are focused in on both wrestlers. Like there's no far pan out. There's no odd camera angle. Like you're playing a wrestling game. You are in the wrestling ring and you're just going right from the get-go. The HUDs are great on this game.
Out of the way.
Small bottom out of the way. I mean, nothing about this is huge and like strikingly in the way. It was just it's a very clean style for everything. You've got your attitude bar, your stored finishers, which also act as your reversals.
Wait, we can't just brush over that.
Yeah, I was gonna go into that after. I was just also gonna say that, and then you also have the damage to your limbs, and then the thing that I thought was cool. I don't know if you actually noticed this, but above the clock during the matches, it's the crowd reaction.
Yeah.
So that changes throughout the match, and as matches go longer, as the action goes back and forth. And as your attitude bar, which is just what I'm going to call it, even though it's probably not referred to as that, your energy, attitude, whatever you want to call it, momentum, as that goes up on both ends from player 1 and player 2, the crowd reacts. It's a very good alternative to like the star system that they use now because it's like a little more animated, and I feel like it gives you kind of like a better sense of like what's how the crowd feels about the match.
And like we said before, you get in-game currency at the end, so that's pretty much what determines it. Now, the HUD. So you get 10 little circles that fill in as you wrestle your way. Now, I just looked it up because me and George had a hard time with this because everything in this game is in Japanese. It's very hard to figure out. When you get 5 of them, George, that's when you get your finisher. So you have to fill up 5 out of the 10, and that counts as a finisher, and you do it the same way you would do No Mercy or Day of Reckoning. You set it off with A and B together. I'm sorry. Well, in this, it's square and X, not A and B. This isn't Day of Reckoning. And then you just strong grapple, hit your finisher. But I think you could hit signatures along the way, which is what we were doing, where you kind of engage it again using triangle and circle, and then you could hit a bigger move. But these little circles that fill up as you go, they go away as you get hit. And if you do a reversal, that takes one away. So you're not reversing back and forth the entire match. I'm sure there's a way in the settings to turn that off because it was a little insane. Because once you're out of reversals... I didn't mind it
as much as I thought I would.
Because you kicked my ass.
No, I'm just saying, like, even in the beginning of the match where you were absolutely destroying me, like, it was just kind of one of those things where it's just like, yeah, it's a Day of Reckoning game. John's going to kick my ass. Like, I'm expecting it. But then, like, you know, all it takes is, like, that one reversal, and it could change the whole tide of a match.
But when you're out of reversals, you could literally do nothing. You just get your ass kicked. You just laid the hammer down on me for, like, 15 minutes, and I eventually gave up. The good part. It wasn't fun. So that, I think, is a little bit of a flaw, and something I gotta assume you could turn that off in the settings or bump it up somehow,
or increase the rate at which you get them.
Yeah, but
there's definitely something in there.
There is a Reddit guide on an English guide to the game, but it's just hard to follow while you're playing along, and you're better off just pulling out your Google Translate and checking it out. But when you enter
I will say
here,
this.
Go ahead.
I was to say, I will say this. When we get to play these Japanese release games, a lot of times there are translated versions available, but if you downloaded those ROMs, sometimes they are altered in a way where there's like additional content put in. So I rather, like, as easy and as amazing as it would be to have fully translated versions, there's not just where they take the base game and translate it and then drop it back in. They always make some kind of like texture improvements or something like that. So if you're ever curious as to why John and I just like force ourselves to go through, the Google translation of all the game, we don't do it because it's a fun bit on the show.
It's just authentic.
I mean, yeah. Part of it also is that it's a fun bit to hear, Google Translate mess it up, but also, like John said, it's good to have the authentic experience as to, what it was intended to be played as.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, but let's go on here. We said the main menu was a very, very confusing, but I do like the art style of it. It's modern, it's grungy. When you go in the championship mode, you get a nice big visual of those championships. Everything in this game, the presentation is on point. The wrestlers themselves, go look at Day of Reckoning 2. I mean, that's pretty much what this game looks like just on PlayStation 2, so it looks kind of even better. The crowd, the arena itself, you see every single detail in the arena. The pyro looks insane. Vader looks insane. He's got the big mastodon on.
Oh, man. So good.
The arena, like the stage and everything is massive. It gives you like that big fight feel. The referee dives out of the way when a move's coming his way. Everything's just very immersive, and they really went like the extra detail to make everything look really good.
And it's, John was saying about the ref diving. It's not so much where they dive out of the way, because they will do that, but they will outright leave the ring and stand on the apron to get out of the way of moves. And I think that is just hilarious. I don't know why that tickles me, but every time it happened while we were playing, I would laugh every time.
Yeah. I think so too. It's like little red shoes just popping in and out of the ring when a suplex was coming his way.
Little red shoes.
But yeah, it was cool seeing. It's always fun to see the familiar faces in the game. Last game we played as Brock Lesnar and Giant Bernard. This time we had Bernard, Vader. We played as Tajiri and Taka Michinoku. But everything here looks good. Even the mist. You know how in some games it's just like a little ball? This mist was mist.
Oh, yeah. No N64 style mist on this one.
No. You know who I like playing in these games as, even like Feel the Bang and WCW? I like playing as Onita. Like, I think old school Onita in like the white and blue singlet was so much cooler than like leather jacket Onita.
Ooh.
Yeah, probably a very unpopular opinion, but
yeah, I don't know. Get a clip from Bobby Orlando and put it in. Right
I like
here.
that time period better of Japanese wrestling. I think. Like I would watch that way more. Like I go back and I watch like Scott Norton matches where he just pummels people. It's so stupid, but I watch it. I'd rather watch that than like Okada, who I still enjoy watching. But either way, did you know? Did you know to unlock the hidden video interviews, simply win a match as a selected wrestler against a human or the CPU?
Did you know Wrestle Kingdom 2 is available on eBay for $40 to $60 used and 145 brand spanking new?
Wowzers. You buying it?
Whew.
I'm not even buying it used at that price.
No, that's surprising. Before, granted, the game warrants being worth what it is, and it clearly has held up. But yeah, $40 to $60 used for a game is
one of the last games on this engine, so that's something.
I'm surprised this already isn't in your collection.
No, it's not. But we're gonna sit back and relax a little bit right now. I'm getting a little stuffy. It's time to play that music. It's time for some R&R, some ratings, and reviews. And there's actually quite a bit here on the Game FAQ user ratings. 32 ratings, which is a lot for a game. Usually it's about 9 or 10. And this gives it a 4 out of 5 stars, which is considered great. Now the difficulty is a 3 out of 5, which is considered just right. And the length played is 42 hours, which is 4 out of 5, which is pretty good. Even though there's no story or direct season or anything, there's a lot to do in this game. Even just visually playing through the matches, I think, is a lot of fun. And if I had this game in 2007, this is what I would have been playing, probably.
Yeah.
I always thought there's just something about the Ukes games like this, like on the GameCube or on this engine and going backwards. Something about like the way the strikes were, how it wasn't like as realistic as the games on the other consoles. I don't know. Like holding that B and just hitting that big, like strong kick. It just hit harder. It felt better. I just liked playing it a lot better than the other games.
I think it's that mechanic, exactly what you said.
Yeah.
The holding down the button to get. Maybe it's that same concept that's so satisfying in No Mercy. Like you tap A, you get the weak grapple. You hold A, you get the strong grapple. It's kind of that same concept here. You hold the strike button.
Yeah, it's kind of like a free for all. Like you're hitting anything, no matter where you're just hitting it.
In whatever state they're in, whether they're on the floor, if they're like halfway getting up. Like it kind of is very similar even now in like 2K22, where like you can kind of hit a move on any part of the wrestler, like whatever animation they're in. Like as long as you hit the model, it counts.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just always been what I stuck with, and I don't know. It just works for me, and I like it. You've seen from the Day of Reckoning and all the playthroughs we've done.
I can't believe I'm shocked. I've never heard this. Is all new information.
All right, but that's the ratings from Game FAQ users. But right now, it's time for the most important rating of them all.
Bobby Orlando.
Our rating. It's time to rate the games.
The game!
All right, Johnny Clash, I'm putting you in the hot seat first this week because I'm pretty sure I already know what's going to happen. We can probably even 3, 2, 1 this. Johnny Clash, Wrestle Kingdom 2. Will you play it forever or future endeavor?
You're fired!
I'm going to shock you here, and I'm going to say future endeavor.
You're fired!
I am genuinely, like, actual shock.
I'll tell you why. If you're comparing this to the first one, from an outsider fan's perspective right now, looking back, I'd rather play the first one, hands down. You're getting Brock Lesnar. You're getting more wrestlers you recognize. You're getting a story mode. So why would I go back and play this one that seemed to be a little bit harder that didn't have that story mode, had less wrestlers but cooler New Japan wrestlers, I think I would take the first one over this almost 10 times out of 10. This is not a future endeavor in the sense that I don't like this game. This is a future endeavor in the sense that I'd rather play something else.
Wow.
So
I'm shocked, but I mean, you make good points.
So now I'm going to turn it to you. You kind of already gave us a hint at what you were going to say. George, will you play it forever? Future endeavor, Wrestle Kingdom 2.
Yeah, I mean, I like the first one. I like the second one. I mean, the presentation was great, like you said, and I agree with you. The way that you hit the strikes in these games is something that's very satisfying. I thought the presentation was good. I thought the camera cuts that they do for when you hit the big moves, while it is kind of jarring the first time you see it, we have mentioned in other games when things like that happened, it is really cool and it kind of breaks up the flow of the game because it's something different than we're used to getting. I thought the animations were okay. Presentation, I think I already said, was cool. I just wish I spoke Japanese. I had a great time playing this game. I just wish I knew how to read it.
Yeah, that was, like you said, that's something for next year, I guess. But all right, Wrestle Kingdom 2. I'm not going to... See, this is one future endeavored in the future. I'm not going to be like, oh, I have to play this game. I'm going to be like, all right, yeah, let's see what it's about.
I feel like this was on the line for you. It wasn't...
I'm not going to touch it until then.
I think that's good.
All right.
That's a good idea.
But now it's time to enter the soft lock.
All right, so Softlock is a weekly segment where John and I are given a topic from one of the megamarks in our Patreon, and John and I discuss, debate, talk about that topic, and then we like to throw that same topic to you, and you let us know what you thought somewhere on social media. This week, the topic comes from Tekker. And Tekker says, should game developers be required to include a vertical slice demo of their games to be available before purchasing the game? Now I'm going to start us off this week.
Start us off.
Because I don't know. I feel like we've talked about this a lot on the podcast, at least in the early days. Those PlayStation demo discs that
they were
you
the
would
best.
get back in the day.
Absolute best.
Those were so great. And I was a big fan of those because one, you can play through, 5 or 6 games from numerous categories, and you kind of, got that taste of like what a finished concept of the game was going to be and the play style and stuff like that. And it was just fun. It kind of gave you the opportunity to play games in a setting that maybe you wouldn't always play. Like that was the first time that I played any game that was like Dino Crisis. Never really played those kinds of games. Was never like a big Resident Evil guy, but like
Jersey Devil and all those.
Dino Crisis was on one of the demo discs, and I played it. Same thing with was it Inline Pro Skating? I think was one of them. And I think one of the 2 Extreme games was on there. And it was just fun. Obviously now in the modern day, you can log into the PlayStation Network or the Xbox Arcade and or Microsoft Store, and you could get playable demos of games, and it's more like you have to pick the games, but I don't know.
But let's go to the question: should it be required before purchasing? Should they put out a portion of the game for people to see?
It would be nice. I think that we would only hit that kind of... If we had a horrible, horrible year for game releases and everything was, a 2K20 or a... what was the other game? Cyberpunk. Mm-hmm. Like if we got 15 to 25 games that were like that, yeah, maybe the argument can be made.
I think games just aren't ready on time anymore.
Yeah, that was going to be the next thing I said. I think day one patches are a thing that we've talked about a lot, and at a certain level they make sense, but requirement for those to be made available is I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts on
I would
this too.
like it. I don't think it should be required. I know if I owned a gaming company, I would have one out with every game because it just makes people want the game. You know how many times I played through that one level of Spyro I had? Over and over until I got Ripto's Rage, and I was like, this game sucks. I want to play the demo.
And then there was wasn't Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 on one of them too?
I think so.
Or maybe it was Dave Miro. Like one of them was on
Pro
the demo
BMX.
Oh yeah, Matt Hoffman.
Should it be required? No, you can't really regulate that, I guess.
No.
Should it be?
It's a good
Should you
practice.
do it? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Definitely a best practice, but you can't really force anybody to do it. It's not like there's a whole.
Give them one mission, whatever it is. I remember playing like Spider-Man demos inside GameStop. Like, bring that back.
Well, let's say this. At events like E3, at PAX, you do get those, here's we're going to show you this playthrough of this level.
That's not.
Granted, it's not hands-on experience, and most of those are videos where someone just is like going through a speech.
You want the hands-on.
But yeah, the hands-on is where it's at. But
Yeah.
it's a good talking point for sure.
All right. But should it be required? I think we both say no, but should it happen? Yeah, it should happen.
Absolutely. But let us know what you thought about this topic. Let us know in our Discord if you're a part of our Patreon. If you follow us on social media at GameMarksPod, you can let us know. We would love to hear your thoughts. And with that, John, I think it's time that we talk about some gaming news.
Let's go, baby. All right, your gaming news. Xputer.com says that Activision and Infinity Ward are planning to formally reveal Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 early next month in June. I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready.
Oh, yeah.
Because I am sick of Warzone. All right, Stephanie McMahon has revealed at the possibility of WWE putting out a mobile RPG soon. Given the success of 2K22, she kind of threw it out there like RPGs are not out of the question right now. What? I guess she wants to be saved by Canyon Undertaker again in Game Boy.
Why?
I don't know.
What in their head goes, 2K22 was really good, and we're
well, they want to keep the ball rolling with more mobile games.
Keep the ball rolling with a game that has really I don't know.
A mobile game.
I'll be optimistic. We have to play it anyway. I hope it's great.
All right, a Mafia prequel is in development. And now this one's cool. Xbox reveals 12 custom Star Wars consoles for May the 4th. And you had to just go on Xbox's Twitter, enter, and you could win one of the 12 Lego Star Wars Series S custom consoles and controllers. And these are pretty damn cool, man. They're colored like the whatever theme they are. If they're a Stormtrooper, they're little gray. Darth Maul's got a nice black with red. And these are freaking awesome. The Xbox Series S is a really cool looking console.
I would say it looks... the first time I saw it, I was just like, oh, their console looks like a hot plate.
Yeah, but it's like sleek. I like it.
Yeah, I would say it's very, very modern.
But those are really cool. I'd love to get one. I am thinking about getting an Xbox in the future. I made the points to my friends, and they were giving me both sides of it. I know I've spoke to you about it. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But all right, games releasing this week, which, by the way, Trek to Yomi, perfect.
Oh.
Songs of Conquest,
Big
May
chef
10th.
Kiss on that game.
Brigandine, May 11th. Source of Madness, May 11th. Achilles Legends Untold, May 12th. Cantata, May 12th. The Centennial Case, a Shijima Story, May 12th. Flippin' Cactus, May 12th. And this one I'm also excited for, Evil Dead, the game, on May 13th. And I showed you right before we started recording that there was a collector's edition of the Evil Dead game that came with a soundtrack vinyl record, came with a t-shirt, it came with all these exclusives, and it's sold out. I'm very disappointed. I probably would have got it. I love that, Evil Dead.
Oh, that it just is awesome. I'm very... That might be a pickup. I might have to get that.
Well, it's sold out, so you're just going to have to get the game.
Well, I mean just the game. Like,
Okay.
I'm just pumped for the game.
All right. I'll be Kelly, you be Pablo.
Let's do it.
You don't know who they are, do you?
I didn't watch the show. I just like the movies.
All right, great.
All right. YouTube.com/GameMarksPodcast for all our weekly playthrough videos, exclusive content, and more, including this and all of the previous podcast episode games. John, what is happening on Patreon this week?
All right, today, Monday, you're getting the ad-free show and the video version of the show. Tuesday, you're getting the show notes and GMP Game Over, where me and George continue our quest to win the tag team titles in No Mercy. Now, future endeavored. Last week, I played Big Bang Pro Wrestling, and this week, George, you're playing Pro Wrestling for the Sega Master System.
Oh, baby.
Thursday, Wild's World came out with TK Wild. He did a little Q&A. And on May 22nd, next Sunday, Ladder Wars, GMP 64. See all of your favorites in ladder matches.
At the longest pay-per-view.
It's not going to be that
It's going to
bad.
be great. It's going to be great. I'm very excited. It's just ladder matches and No Mercy take a long time.
Well, I'll just have to kick your ass quickly.
You know what? If it's going to happen, it's going to be in those matches.
All right. All right, what are we doing next week?
John, I'm very excited for next week because next week we are playing the very dangerous game of a Q&A episode. It's been a while since we've done one of these. I thought it would be a nice change of pace. I can't wait to answer how many kickflips we can do and if we can do kickflips no less than 15 times. Yeah, you know, I feel like it's good to do these like once or twice a year. They're just fun. Little break, you know. Yeah, I always look forward to these. It's going to be fun. But yeah, that's it, man. That's Wrestle Kingdom 2. Kind of shocked me on this one, not going to lie to you.
Well, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. So we could wrap it up and you could take us home.
All right, GameMarksPod.com/shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for all of our new shirt designs. John told me he's got one that he is looking to put up kind of soon.
Yeah, I do.
Excited about it.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/GameMarksPod for all of our exclusive content, like show notes and everything else that John just talked about. At GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. And please make sure to smack that subscribe button. Leave us a 5-star review and rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And of course, if you have a product or service that you would like to advertise, please reach out to us at GameMarksPod@gmail.com. And John, that is it. And I think it's time for you to point to the sign and wrap up this episode.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I give more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.